For chain mailing, you only need a few supplies. You'll need rings, 2 sets of pliers, and then some kind of idea as to what pattern you'd like to weave your rings into. This is a standard European 4-in-1 weave. This is a European 6-in-1 weave. And this one here is a Japanese 12-in-2. As you can see here, the center ring, which is actually 2 rings thick, has 12 smaller rings attached to it. Here, the center ring has 4 rings of the same size going through it. This is the weave we'll be using today. I buy my rings pre-made. You can make your own by wrapping appropriately gauged wire around a dowel and sawing them off. But I find paying a little extra for them to be machine cut makes for a better finished look. These rings are 18 gauge aluminum with an internal size of 1/4 inch. The pliers I am using are pointed tip, which are good for intricate work like the Japanese 12-in-2 weave. Since I am using non-colored rings, I prefer to use these. You can purchase anodized rings that bring color into your work. There's a large range of colors that these come in. These are a couple samples of the colors that I keep on hand. For these rings, I prefer to use wide-tipped pliers. They have a stronger grip, and there's less chance of slipping and scarring the colored finish. You can get rubber-tipped pliers for this purpose. However, I want to point out these were once rubber-tipped, but through excessive use, the rubber tip wore off. Lastly, on the subject of pliers, no matter what tip you like to use, be sure your pliers have a comfortable grip. These rubber handles fit snugly in the web of my hand without causing friction or pain. They also need to spring open. Trust me, this is a necessity. You don't want to have to manually keep opening them while you're trying to weave. But as I said earlier, I'll be using the pointed pliers because they are my favorite. I like to have my rings prepped. Half are closed and half are open. Closed means the rings have their gap as completely sealed as possible. Grip your ring as shown and twist while pushing your pliers slightly toward one another. You should hear a click. No click, no seal. As you can see, the split in the ring is virtually invisible. Open is a ring that the gap has been widened to allow for attaching and adding of rings. Being right-handed, I find having the right side open towards me works best. Grip your rings like this and twist. Do not pull the rings in opposite directions. With them prepped, you can easily slip on any number of closed rings without having to set down your piece to get a ring ready. Once you get your rings on, simply close your open ring, but make sure that it clicks. Let's work on our weave. If you're seeing a Mickey Mouse head, you're not wrong. As you can see me adjusting the rings here, it's to make sure I'm weaving in the proper direction. Mickey's ears should be like this, with the head ring on top of the 2 ear rings. Since the rings are not held by other rings, they can twist and mess up. Be mindful of which way you're weaving, and keep going the same direction. To make a 4-in-1 weave, we have an open ring that I will now add 4 closed rings to. Then I will close it completely. Here, I am laying out the weave to show how the rings should sit upon one another. The higher pair are laying on top of the pair below, and Mickey's head is on top of all of the rings, while his chin would be in the back. Be sure to continue in the same fashion. This part is tricky for me to do one-handed. Typically, I weave away from myself. Please bear with me. As you can see, the center ring goes over the top 2 rings, so your new open ring will have to go over the bottom 2 shown here. This means the bottom 2 rings are the next Mickey ears. Once your open ring is in the new ear's place, 2 closed rings need to be put on, and then close your open ring. As you see, you have finally started your 4-in-1 weave. Simply repeat this pattern of pick up the bottom 2 and add 2, and you're good to go. Once you have a row of length of your liking, you can add another next to it, and so on, to achieve something like this. Adding on is very simple. First, find where you left off. As you can see, there's already 3 rings in this area. Make sure Mickey's ears are correctly aligned. Pick up the existing 3 rings. It's easier said than done while trying to stay in focus. Add 1 closed ring, and then close off your open ring. Here it is again in a more natural speed. To start an entirely new row is very much the same. Place 2 closed rings on 1 open ring. These will be your new outside rings. Now pick up the starting 2 rings on your piece with your open ring, close, and done. Now you may have noticed my Mickey heads changed direction while filming. That's because I flipped the piece over for easier demonstration. It doesn't matter which way you weave, with a Mickey chin or a Mickey forehead, as long as you continue on with the same pattern. Happy weaving, my friends.